interested in Zero Trust. Have a seat for BeyondCorp Zero.
And I'm sure everybody's super excited to hear about BeyondCorp. We're going to walk through this right now, even if there's only one person sitting here. You, sir, in the back. Dangerous, but fun. You want to hear about BeyondCorp? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so let's dive into it. My name is Marco Genovese. I'm the global head of architecture for BeyondCorp here at Google. And we're going to walk you through our new offering, which is BeyondCorp Enterprise Essentials, and the feature set that it includes. What we're doing here at Google is we are enabling our customers to access their cloud applications, SaaS applications, right, their application stacks, by using the Google Chrome browser to enact and enable additional security controls. Things like data loss prevention, threat protection, deep levels of posturing into an endpoint. But at the same time, we're able to do this completely transparently and seamlessly for the actual end user accessing these applications, right? So they're unaware of what's going on in the background, which is really how it should be, right? We're trying to provide a business enablement tool that's highly secure at the same time. So when you enable something like our BeyondCorp context-aware access policies, you're able to then either allow or deny a user access to SaaS applications, right? SAML-enabled applications, a hybrid or extended workforce. So think about partners, right? Employees that are interacting with these application stacks. And you can do this across not just managed corporate browsers, but also BYOD, right? Personal devices that you want to enact controls on. So if you have a partner that needs to access your applications, whatever those might be, but you want to make sure that when they interact with those applications, they can only take certain actions within those applications, right? Prevent copy and paste out of them, for example, on an unmanaged device, right? And because we actually are providing these controls within Chrome, it becomes very easy to do so, right? We don't have to do things like TLS decryption, right? Or termination or interception. We don't have to proxy the traffic because, again, we are providing a browser control to our customers. So what does this bring to the table? Well, it allows for you to have complete visibility. So imagine if you had complete detail on every single file, every application that's visited, the hash values of those files, and we could stitch and analyze all of that data in real time and provide that into a tool like maybe Chrono, for example, right, for deeper analytics, or feed this into Splunk, right, so that you can hold on to this data and you can analyze it even further. Because we now have the ability to control, right, what is done by the user into the application itself, things like data loss prevention just make sense, right? And I can do this even if the data is encrypted, even if I'm interfacing with an HTTPS application, for example. It makes sense for us to then provide malware protection, right? So if we can see the data, why not protect the application that's being interfaced with from a partner or from a user, right, uploading or downloading out of that application, right, to prevent poisoning or things like an HVAC type of attack, right, business to business, application poisoning or things of that nature. And we're actually including sandbox detonation as part of this, right? So if there's a piece of malware that we can't do a standardized detection on, right, based on signature analysis or static analysis, we then detonate that malware to actually verify that it's deemed benign in the cloud as part of our solution. And because we're able to see every website that's being visited, things like URL, right, categorization and protection, right, to prevent phishing attacks is baked right into the browser as well. And as an organization, as a security department, you have complete control over that. And so what it's doing again is it's bringing that control back into the IT security organization, right? You're able to do simple things like acceptable use policies, like you would see, right, on URL categorization. I want people going to gambling sites. But we can go a whole lot deeper and control all the actions within these individual applications without backhauling traffic, hairpinning traffic, pack files, VPNs, or all of that nonsense that goes along with trying to manage, right, interactions with corporate application stacks. And the way that we can do that is because Chrome now has become essentially the operating system for the enterprise, right? You've probably heard of Chrome OS. The Chrome browser now has protected profiles, much like our Chrome OS devices and like your Android devices, right? So if I'm interacting with my corporate application stack, then I have a different profile that enacts a different policy set. Whether that's blocking access or preventing copy and paste out of a sanctioned to an unsanctioned or shadow IT application, this can all happen on the fly based on who the user is, their identity, and what device that they're on, right? Corporate, unmanaged, managed, BYOD devices all can have different profiles and different actions, right, enacted on those devices. So I'm actually going to demonstrate this to you guys live right now so you can actually see what we're doing here with Google Chrome and BeyondCorp Entreprise. So a little bit of background here. I've got an unmanaged device, right, and a managed device. So you'll see green, you'll see red, unmanaged, and managed. The managed device here in this environment, the Chrome browser itself has been managed. I brought it on board. I'm managing the actual hardware of the device, right, using Workspace, using our administrative console. As part of this, I've also deployed CrowdStrike onto this endpoint, and CrowdStrike is actually assessing this endpoint and feeding BeyondCorp additional telemetry on risk right on this endpoint. And so we're going to use that to actually enact policy. On this device, we just got standard Chrome. I downloaded off the internet like any one of us has done in the past. And based on interacting with the application, we're going to apply policy automatically into that profile, into that remote roaming profile, right, as part of the Chrome browser. So what does that look like? Well, if I'm an employee, right, and I need to interact with my application, I might open this up. And as part of this, I'm going to go ahead and cruise up to the CRM application. Now, one of the nice things, right, of using Managed Chrome is I can automatically provision all the applications, all the bookmarks, right? It provides a very seamless and managed user experience. But I can also here log in centrally using maybe like an Okta or a Ping, or you can use Google Cloud Identity as well. And I'm going to log in. And when I do so, it's just going to seamlessly SSO and authenticate me into the actual application here. Now, we're enacting controls on this web application in real time. If I needed to go in here and, let's say, view a particular document, right, that contained customer records, for example, as part of my job, I can go ahead and do so. But if I were to go in and, let's say, try to copy and paste this data, right, into another cloud application, maybe an unsanctioned or shadow IT application, we can actually prevent that from taking place. So let's say I go over to Box, and let's say I go ahead and log in, right, to the shadow IT application. And if I try to go and paste this into a Box note, we can actually prevent that from happening, or allow that to happen depending on the policies that we put in place. And again, I don't have to proxy anything. I'm going directly to this application. And when I go ahead and paste this in place, we're going to scan the data, and then depending on the device, I'm going to block or allow that right to take place. Now on this particular machine, because it's managed, if I want to go ahead and download, right, this particular PDF to this local machine, I can go ahead and do so. We're going to scan it based on the content we're going to allow it. Now let's switch gears here, and let's go over to the unmanaged device and take the same actions and see what the outcome will be. So I can go in to the same CRM application. I'm going to go ahead and authenticate here. One thing to make note of as I'm doing this is it's actually posturing the endpoint in real time in the background, and then based on the fact that I might have an encrypted disk, or it's a managed machine, or it's patched or up to date, where I'm collecting all this information, and then based on that contextual or access policy, that logic, I can then deny access or take other action. So let's go ahead and now look at that document, the same document we did earlier. And if I were to go and try to download this to an unmanaged device, right, it's going to scan that and it's going to block it right based on the contents of the file. Now, let's do something a little bit more interesting here. So let's say I come back and this particular machine, this managed machine, right, I should be able to access PagerDuty as part of my job, right, as part of my role. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in with my identity provider here, and it's going to SSO into PagerDuty. Now, if I try to do the same thing on an unmanaged device right now, because again, we're gating with those context-aware access policies, it's going to talk to my CrowdStrike install, and it's going to feed that risk level, that risk scoring, then based on the fact that, again, I don't have CrowdStrike, it's going to deny access to PagerDuty on an unmanaged device, right? So again, providing all these different kinds of controls. Now we're collecting all this data, all this detail, and we're feeding this into, again, our own management console, our own systems, but we can feed this into Chronicle, as you can see over here, right, and do additional analysis on it. I'm going to show you what that looks like. We're also collecting other information, other attribution as well. For example, if I were to go into Gmail here, and as you can see, I just won these corporate sweepstakes, so day 4 RSA, and looks like I'm doubling down on my winnings. If I were to go and actually click on this and try to authenticate with my corporate credentials, for example, I type these in. We're actually fingerprinting these corporate credentials. So when I go ahead and do this, it's actually going to detect this taking place. And then when I do so, it's actually going to force the user through a password reset because we're fingerprinting, right, these credentials. And when I put them into that phishing site, and this could be a partner, this could be anybody that's interacting with my applications, I can then force that credential reset. And this could push you through an Okta reset flow or Microsoft or whatever you're using, right, as your identity provider or ourselves, right, as you're seeing here. Now, let's go and take a look at what it looks like from the administrative side, right? So we can build dashboards showing you DLP incidents, right? We can have automated alerts sent off and notify a system administrators, security team, your SOC analysts, right, to take a look at something a little bit further, right within the tool. But we can also look at the raw log data that we're collecting. And you can send this over to really any integration you can think of. We built native integrations, again, like I said, with Splunk and Chronicle. But if we were to actually go look at the Chrome log events here, actually search on it, you'll be able to see the rich amount of telemetry that we're actually collecting. So not only are we telling you like what was sent, how it was transferred, but we're actually hashing all the files, for example. I can see a password reuse event here, who the employee was, the domain they visited it. We can see the URL, we can see things like the content name, where they downloaded it to the local device, for example, size of the content. So tremendous amount of detail and information on these events as these users interact with these applications. And in fact, if I were to go and drill in on one of these hash values, you can see where we're tying this back to virus total, right? So we're actually running these hashes through VT. You are seeing the stitching of multiple hash values here, right? And if you actually use virus total, or you subscribe to it, will not only just show you all the detail on it, but you can actually pivot, you can sign in and go into things like IOCs and graphs, right, if you subscribe to the service, to see where these originated, other organizations that are being impacted by this particular piece of malware, and so on. So, really excited to have this tool available for our customers. The Enterprise Essentials SKU for BeyondCorp is available today. And it's as simple as just literally turning on the feature and then layering on the context-aware access policies for your cloud applications. So again, thanks so much for your time. If you have any questions, feel free to come over. I'll be around, maybe not all day, but at least for the next hour or so. So thanks for your time, and happy RSA 2022.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Marco. All right, we have one more presentation for the day coming up in exactly 45 minutes, and that is on, I believe, our virus total solution. Thank you, everybody.